video number 3, I believe. So just a quick disclaimer, these videos do talk about pedophilia, sexual assault, rape, and also molestation. If these are trigger videos for you, please feel free to skip. If they are too much for you, please feel free to pause, because it definitely is a lot for me as well, and it's my story. So I do want to put that disclaimer out there. I also want to say to my family and friends that grew up with me or are still with me while I was going through this time, this is in no way to shame you. This is just me telling my story and my truth, and I will not apologize for that, okay? To my family, I definitely love you. This is no harsh words towards you. This is just me telling my story during this time. So let's get into it. So I wasn't off the land yet. I wasn't off the land yet. In hindsight, I do get what my dad was doing about me going to a vocational school first and then going off to a 4-year university. It was a good idea to save money, but at the time, I didn't care about that. At the time, I was just trying to get out of Dodge. I wanted to get out of there. That's what I wanted to do. And I felt like my dad was keeping me from that, but really it was just, he was just trying to save me a fortune in college, which kind of did and didn't work at the same time. But I was just ready to get out of there. I was just ready to go. So because I couldn't go off to college like how I wanted to, I had a scholarship to North Carolina Central University. And that's where I wanted to go. I had a scholarship there, and my dad just wouldn't let me go because he was like, even with the scholarship, it's still going to be a lot of money, And I was just trying to get out of Dodge, okay? And so because I couldn't, I was put in a vocational school near me to kind of get some, the nonchalant college credits out the way before I got to my major. And it was like I got there and I really didn't care. My first year of college, I flunked. I didn't, well, I wouldn't say I flunked out. I got C's and D's, but basically you get enough D's, you're gonna flunk out, So I was just doing whatever I wanted to do because I was still, in my mind, I was still in Rock Hill. Rock Hill was the enemy. I wanted to get out of there, and I could not get out of there fast enough, So I was just trying to figure out ways for me to get out of Dodge. And so one way that I had concocted in my mind was I can meet a guy who has everything together and he's gonna free me, right? I'm gonna be with him, we're gonna move in together, we're gonna get married, and he's gonna get me out of this place, right? Whatever, girl. I will say I was one of those girls that foolishly thought a man was gonna come and save me, but nobody let me know that till later on, that girl, only Jesus can save you, or whatever deity you believe in, but the true power also lies within yourself. You have to have enough courage and enough strength for you to do what you need to do, So with that being said, I just started looking for love in the wrong places. I was just out and about, dating whoever, talking to whoever. I didn't lose my virginity willingly, and I do say willingly because of, past abuse, until I was 18, somewhere around there. It was just a lot. And I wouldn't even say really losing my virginity. I think that just, honestly, that was just my first real relationship at that point. So I met my son's father, and honestly, I'm not going to go into that because me and him we are on pretty good working terms in regards to co-parenting. We just didn't work out, and I'm going to leave that at that, But I was looking for a man to come and free me from the situation, and it just didn't happen. So what ended up happening was I ended up getting pregnant my sophomore year of college, and it was I had this whole baby now that I had to take care of. So on top of me wanting to get off of the land, I'm now stuck here and I'm pregnant. So it was just what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I put school on hold for a little bit, and I went and got a job. I literally fell off the face of the earth. I was not on social media. I was not doing anything. Like, anybody that knew me did not hear anything from me during this period of time. Like, I literally just dropped off the face of social media and popped up with a baby. Like, that's what happened. If you knew me when I worked, when I was working, like my coworkers and things like that, they became my best friends. They became my go-tos, because I was not talking to anybody else from the outside world at all. Okay, at all. It was not happening. So I had, my best friend at the time and my parents. That's really who I was. Just in a close-knit circle trying to do what I need to do to take care of my child. So I ended up having my son and went back to school, back to the vocational school. With me going back to the vocational school, I was doing really good. Like, my son, my father was watching my son. I think my dad got to the point where he knew things weren't right where I grew up at. And I think he had started realizing that a while back, but he started feeling stuck. He started feeling like he had no other choice but to stay there, because he had invested so much of his time and his money there, and he was just there, Over the years, my dad had been diagnosed with diabetes, and because his eating habits honestly just weren't good. I think food was his vice. That's how he dealt with things growing up down there. And him living down there, me growing up there. So later, because of so much stress, he got diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And then his kidneys started to go bad as well. But he started getting better. I think he just started getting better and started taking care of himself, and he just started to not care about a lot of things that he really shouldn't have cared about in the first place. So when he was starting to get to a better space, he was watching my son. My son was with him all the time. And then my son turned 1, and that's when I put him in daycare, just so my dad could kind of have some more time to himself during that era. So, he started having more time to himself, and he just started getting better. He started losing weight. He just started getting better. And then all of a sudden, he died. Like, he wasn't in a bad place. We were at home, and he had a stroke that caused an aneurysm on the stem of his brain. And I mean, he was there, but he wasn't there. So unselfishly, we decided to, let him go, because it would have just been selfish to keep him there. He was there, but he wasn't there. He was on life support for 3 days. And it just wasn't, he wasn't him anymore. So once my dad died, I try not to be too sad about it. I definitely miss my dad a lot. I still think about him all the time. And people don't tell you when, how, no matter how rough the relationship is with your parents. I saw my dad every day. My dad lived with me. Even if we did have our ups and downs, like that was my dad. That was, that was my father. And people don't tell you when you lose a parent, you never really get over it. You just adapt to them being gone. And even when you do adapt to them being gone, you feel like there's this hole in your life, and you're trying to close it, but you're really just putting like plastic tape over it, It's hard. Yeah, it's just really hard. And but I try to look at it as my dad finally got free. He finally got to leave that place, even though that was the way he had to go. But once my dad passed away, literally like 2 weeks after my dad passed away, of course the pastor you know, decided he wanted to become the man of our house. And like with him becoming the man of our house, or so he thought, he assumed he was gonna be, he decides that he wants to sexually assault my mom. During this time with him sexually assaulting my mother, he also sexually assaulted another member of the church. She was a lot stronger than my mom. She was a lot more vocal, a lot more hard-headed, and a lot, you know, just more strong, just stronger than my mom. My mom was really passive, so she just kind of swept things under the rug. So, you know, he caught himself trying to touch my mom, and it was like, at that point, it was just done for us. Like, the only thing that was tethering us there was my dad, and since my dad was gone, there was literally no need for us to stay there. But he just wasn't gonna let us go so easily.